Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. So in this video I'm going to talk to you about why I became a long-term investor and why I'm not selling Palantir at these levels. There's a lot of debate currently on Twitter. It's actually I don't understand why there's so much talk about how everybody was so bullish about the company on the way down and they were buying at 2018 and suddenly the price goes back to 14 and all those people who were bullish at 18 now they're want you to sell and take profits. What kind of profits at 14? But that's besides the point. So many of you don't know that I actually started as a technical trader and I spent a lot of time backtesting strategies, learning about technical trading, learning about different strategies. And one of the most surprising things for me was that the way I got into the stock market is my dad paid for a course and we did the course together. It was back in the day actually, so it was not an online course. So we did it in person and I thought that the guy who was holding the lectures, he was a very knowledgeable and I thought he was an expert. And a lot of people did that too. And when we finished the course, I think was one of the few people who actually backtested the strategies that he was speaking about. And I found backtesting the strategies that they didn't work. They didn't have a mathematical advantage because his whole point was that you can solely trade on, candles and support and resistance lines and, head and shoulders and all the Japanese candlesticks. And I couldn't make his strategies work, but I read lots of books and eventually I found a strategy that was sort of a momentum strategy. So I would buy a very uptrending stock and I had a way of keeping track of when the uptrend ends and I would just ride the uptrend and sell when the uptrend ended, right? And I was spending super many hours. By the way, if you like this content, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and you can hit me up on Twitter at @VinceIsBullish and I do a lot of analysis there. I think my Twitter account is quite cool and it's been blowing up like crazy. I went from 0 to almost 700 followers in like a month. It's pretty shocking to me. Anyways, so I promise I will keep this short. So the point is I found a strategy that worked. And I was thoroughly still backtesting this strategy in 2021, 2021. And then in 2021, I started live trading and I'm going to show you this portfolio. And in 6 months, I made 16% as a technical trader. And that is amazing, right? But as so many things with life, you need context because, okay, so what did the S&P 500 do in the same amount of time? And this is my portfolio. So the blue line is my portfolio. You can see this is when the account was open and the money was just sitting there. So there was no trading. This is June. This is when the actual trading began. And this is December 31st. So you can see that I'm 16% plus. But oh my God, what is the orange and the green line? So the orange line is the NASDAQ, the QQQ, and the green line is the S&P 500. So the S&P 500 outperformed me in the same amount of time. So that's a big problem. And here's the second big problem. I was still trading all the way up to February 2022. When I basically lost all my gains and I lost more than the NASDAQ and the S&P 500. And this is when I was like, okay, something that I'm doing is not working. And I decided to change to being a long-term investor instead because there's two things that I realized. So one of them was that to be a technical trader, you have to find strategies that work. And it takes a freaking long time to find strategies that work. And when you find these strategies that work, there is no guarantee that they're going to continue to work until eternity. So it could be that you find a strategy that works for a year and then something changes in the market and you just lose all your money, right? And because my strategy was always backtested in a bull market and I was very, very afraid that how the strategy would perform in a bear market, even though I had a rigorous stop loss. I've never seen it in a bear market, right? And I saw that even though I had a stop loss when the bear market happened in 2022, anything that I was buying just was going down, and it was always hitting the stop loss. And I would sell a stock and then buy the next stop, and it was hitting the stop loss. So, and I spent, I would say, between 1 to 2 hours a day, analyzing stocks, learning about technical analysis, all to underperform the S&P 500. So I had to find something that was simpler. This is how I found Palantir. I learned about long-term investing. I know how to read balance sheets and P&Ls and cash flow statements. And I understood that Palantir was an undervalued opportunity. And I decided to change strategies and, start buying Palantir and average into it as the stock price goes down. Even though the technicals were telling me that the stock is in a downtrend, it's going to go lower. But I was like, okay, that's it. Chapter closed on that. And it's been a little longer than a year, and you can see that I was basically underperforming the S&P 500 all the way to December 2022. At which point I started gaining faster than the S&P 500, and then I gained super much because almost all my portfolio was on Palantir. So what is very interesting is when I was a technical trader, I didn't know if my strategy was going to work. I was very worried what the market is going to do, and I was working a lot. And I think so many people, I really hope that you're listening to this, so many people who go into trading, it's not worth it if your portfolio is small. Even if you're a good trader, it's not worth it. So let's say you have $100,000, okay? And let's say that instead of 16%, so I'm very happy that I performed below the S&P 500 because that's what made me realize it. But let's say I would have performed over. So let's say I would have done 5% more than the S&P 500 and I made 25%. But here's the problem. Let's say your portfolio is $100,000. So what is the 5% over performance? It's $5,000 in a year, okay? But how much work are you putting into this? I was putting in 2 hours per day. There is 22 work days in a month. So I was putting in 44 hours of work. So if you earn $5,000 a year, you divide that by 12, that is $416. If you divide it by the 44 hours, then your hourly pay is 9 hours and 46 cents before taxes, right? Which is insane. So you could instead focus all this time into, increasing your own income, starting a new business where you would make way more money than this, and you could just invest into the S&P 500. This is what I realized, right? So now, after this time, I'm still learning, and I'm trying to be as transparent about it as possible. And Palantir was my first big bet, and it actually came my way, so I'm very happy about it, but I'm also staying humble about it. I'm sure I will get stocks wrong in the future. And my goal is to increase my income so that I have more money to invest into stocks and just buy and hold them, because the time that you spend on trading is just not worth it, okay? And now I'm in a position where I know what I'm doing. I don't care what the market is doing, if we're in a bull or bear market. If we're in a bull market, good, my stocks are going up. If we're in a bear market, good, I get to buy stocks for cheap. So it's a very different mindset. I'm not nervous. And guess the work that is involved in holding a stock? It's zero. It's zero. It's the best work that you will ever do. And this is the thing. If I were to sell Palantir at this level, right, to trade Palantir, many people don't think I would have taxes to pay. And my cost basis is $8. So I would have $1 to $2 of taxes to pay. So just to break even, I would need Palantir to go from 14 to below $12. And I honestly don't know if it's going to happen. Look at what happened to Chicken Genius, who looked at the technicals and said, yeah, we're at this resistance level. And by the way, his analysis from a technical point of view was spot on. It's exactly what you need to do as a technical trader. He sold. He needs to pay taxes on his gains, and he missed out on all the profit that came after. And this is really the problem with trying to time the market. So I'm just not in that business. Whether you think Palantir is overvalued, undervalued, I don't care. I'm not selling because I'm in it for the long term. And my goal is not to try to make money on this jitters that the stock does. My goal is to increase my personal income and invest into fantastic companies like Palantir. Unfortunately, because my position is full, I'm not able to buy more Palantir. I'm going to be buying Tesla, Airbnb, Enphase, and all these companies. So content coming about that. But this was my thoughts about being a long-term investor, selling Palantir at $14. And I really hope that I inspired some of you to look at long-term trading and actually just play with the ease of holding stocks and doing zero work and still beating the S&P 500. It's a very nice feeling. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Hit me up on Twitter. Vince is bullish, and see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.